let us discuss about the another type of wind that is known as periodic wind or seasonal wind. As its name itself suggests that the periodic winds are those type of wind which, which are seasonal or periodic in nature. The direction of the wind movement in periodic winds is not constant and not uniform in the whole part of year. But the wind movement changes its direction with changing season, as well as if you are considering a whole year, then the direction of the flow of the movement of the winds changes with a certain fixed period, either in a summer or the winter season. They reverses their directions, they change their directions. If we are considering a day as a fixed period, that within the day, these winds change their directions in terms of their diagonal changing of directions. So these periodic or seasonal winds are those type of winds which changes their directions within the day or within a year or within the season. These winds are very important in terms of their flow of the movement. These winds are very important because of their secondary circulations. However, these winds are having not a global flow or the global pattern of the circulation, but there is a regional pattern of the circulation of these winds. They are limited to the certain areas only, and these areas are defined over the contrast of the heating and cooling, or these areas are varied in terms of their local pressure belt distributions or the pressure variations. Most importantly, periodic winds are categorized in terms of periodic local winds or periodic seasonal winds. Periodic local winds means these are the tertiary circulation in the form of local winds, and they cover a very smaller part of the earth, a smaller part of the areas. They are periodic in nature because of the differential heating and cooling of the land and water bodies, or the differential heating and cooling of the few zonal areas over the land surface, like the mountain and valley breezes, or the land and sea breezes are the classical example of periodic local wind. There are the periodic seasonal winds, like the monsoon is one of the important periodic seasonal winds. Monsoon can be cited as the classical example of the seasonal wind or the periodic wind. And we have to discuss it in detail. Let us discuss or let us observe about the periodic local winds or the few periodic winds which have the diagonal pattern of their shifting of their directions. Diagonal pattern of shifting of their directions. आज हम लोग लैंड एंड सी ब्रीजेस और माउंटेन एंड वैली ब्रीजेस को देखेंगे कि इनकी उत्पत्ति कैसे होती है. These are the important periodic winds or the seasonal winds which are local in nature. Why these are called as the local periodic winds? Because their areas of the extent, their extensions are limited only to the certain area.
These periodic winds cover a very smaller region, a smaller part of the Earth's surface, and categorized in terms of the daily shifting of their directions because of the diurnal changes of the pressure belts. तो हम लोग चलिए देखते हैं कि लोकल पीरियाडिक विंड्स, लैंड एंड सी ब्रीजेस और माउंटेन एंड वैली ब्रीजेस क्या है और इनकी उत्पत्ति कैसे होती है। Periodic winds or seasonal winds, whether it is, you can observe it. It is visible, whiteboard. देख सकते हैं आप लोग, अब कुछ साफ दिख रहा है। हेलो, okay. The definition of periodic wind or seasonal wind is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then let us see about the few examples of the periodic winds or the seasonal winds. Most importantly, I will cover to the daily land and sea breezes. आप लोगों में से समंदर के किनारे या लेक के किनारे कौन कौन लोग जा चुके हैं? कभी गोवा या विशाखापट्टनम या केरला या चेन्नई गए हैं आप लोग?
No, sir.
समंदर के किनारे या कोस्टल एरियाज में इंसुलर क्लाइमेट की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स पाई जाती है। There is in terms of the distance from the sea, there are two type of microclimate or the climate. One is insular climate and another one is continental climate. Insular climates are those type of climate classification which are influenced by the oceanic or the water bodies, and that is recorded near to the coast. Insular climate coastal areas के climate को कहते हैं जहां पे एक moderate temperature रिकॉर्ड किया जाता है एंड बैलेंस टेम्परेचर होता है, ना तो बहुत ज्यादा गर्मी होती है ना बहुत ज्यादा ठंड। The insular climates are generally found near to the coastal areas and that have experienced the moderate temperature or the balanced temperature, and the extreme temperature is not recorded, either extreme cold or extreme warm. But in opposite to that insular climate, there is another type of climate that is known as continental climate or continentality. Continental climate means the areas of the earth which is far from the oceanic influences, and where there is the extreme temperature is recorded in terms of extreme cold or extreme warm during summer and the winter season, then this type of climate which is far ahead, which is so far from the oceans and the marine or the lake or the any water bodies influences, is called as the continental climate. Delhi is the continental climate. Aligarh is located at continental climate, but Visakhapatnam, Goa, Kerala, the coast of Tamil Nadu, the coast of Odisha, these are experienced and these are located at insular climate, like the Perth, Melbourne, Johannesburg, Durban, Victoria Province, Queensland of Australia, South Africa. ये आपके इंसुलर क्लाइमेट में इनका लोकेशन है, क्योंकि इनके यहाँ ओशंस जो है बिल्कुल करीब है. Why their temperature is balanced? Why they have the moderate temperature? Even it is so hot. अगर गर्मी का सीजन है, फिर भी अगर ओशंस या मुंबई के कोस्ट पे जाओ तो वहां पे उतना ज्यादा एक्सट्रीम टेम्परेचर नहीं मिलेगा जितना कि आपको दिल्ली में गर्मी होगी. सर्दी के सीजन में, if there is the winter season, the winter of the Delhi or the Aligarh is so harsh in compared to the winter of Goa or the winter of Kerala or the winter of Visakhapatnam or the winter of Tamil Nadu. Coastal areas of these states experience the balance and moderate temperature even in winter season or summer season. The reason behind that is land and sea breezes that maintains the temperature and balance the temperature of the coastal region. Then what is these land and sea breezes and how they have originated? Land and sea breezes are the types of the periodic wind that is also called as local periodic winds. And these land and sea breezes occurred because of the differential heating and cooling of the land and water bodies in the day, and they are recorded and experienced as a daily pattern because of their changes of the temperature and the pressure in the daily. Okay, you can see here. This is the land area and this is water bodies. ये कोस्टल एरिया का एग्जांपल है. कोस्टल एरियाज में हमने देखा कि ये वाटर बॉडीज है और यहाँ पे भूमि या लैंड का एरियाज है. देयर इज अ डे, दिन का वक्त है. एट द डे टाइम at the daytime, what happens is that the land is more warmer in compared to the water bodies. Land में temperature ज़्यादा है. बहुत जल्दी जो है ये गर्म हो गई. Land heated quickly. बहुत तेजी के साथ land जो है गर्म हो गई. Land और water अभी ठंडी है. Water बहुत देर से गर्म होती है और बहुत देर से ठंडी भी होती है. जब सूरज निकला, दिन का वक्त है, there is the time of day. When the sun is there, the land surface heated quickly and it is comparatively warmer then the water bodies, and whatever the air that is there at land surface moves in a vertical direction, and at the surface there is the low pressure belt. There is the low pressure belt over the land surfaces. There is the low pressure belt over the land surface. The air is still here over the water bodies, that is the oceanic and the lake or the oceanic surfaces. Water is still cooler in compared to the land, and that's why water has the high pressure system. अभी पानी के ऊपर मैंने कहा कि there is the differential heating and cooling of land and water bodies. In the day, when the sun is there, the land surface heated very quickly, and that's why whatever the amount of air that is over the land surface is there, it moves in upward directions, and it exerted low pressure over the land surface. That's why land, hence it is more warmer, and so there is a very low pressure. Temperature और pressure में 36 का आंकड़ा है, 36 का ratio है. When the pressure is high, temperature will be low. Here the temperature is very high, that's why pressure is low over the land surface. But at water bodies, it is still cooler, that's why the air which are there above the water surface is still there, and it does not move in upward directions, but it exerts the pressure over the water surface. That's why the atmospheric density is higher over the water bodies. The atmospheric pressure is higher over the water bodies, and in the daytime, wind start moving from high pressure towards the low pressure areas, from the land, from the oceans or the water surfaces towards the land surfaces. दिन के वक्त में हवाएं हाई प्रेशर से क्यों नहीं मिट रहा है भाई? दिन के वक्त में हवाएं समंदर से लैंड सरफेस की ओर बहने लगी, और इसी को कहते हैं सी ब्रीजेस. और इस विंड मूवमेंट को जो डे के टाइम समंदर से लैंड सरफेस की ओर है, इस तरह के विंड मूवमेंट को हम कहते हैं सी ब्रीजेस. लेकिन इसके अपोजिट अगर देखें, रात के वक्त में when there is a night, when there is the night, sun is not there in the sky, land surface recorded a very cold temperature, क्योंकि ये बहुत जल्दी ठंडा हो जाता है. जब रात हुई ये तुरंत ठंडा हो गया, तो इसके ऊपर की जो हवाएं हैं वो भी ठंडी रहती है. There is the night, and we know that the nature of land is it heated quickly as well as it cooled quickly. और यही वजह है, in the night the land surface cooled very quickly, and there is the high pressure belt over the land areas or the land surface, and the water bodies are still warmer because it takes time in heating as well as in cooling. When there is the night, it is still warmer in compared to the land, and that's why there is a low pressure system over the water surfaces, and wind reverses its directions from land towards the water bodies, and at night it moves towards the sea, and when it is coming from the land, that's why it is called as land breezes. एक बात हमेशा याद रखिएगा, बच्चे कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं कि लैंड और सी ब्रीजेस का टर्म कब है. दिन में सी ब्रीजेस होगी और रात में लैंड ब्रीजेस होगी. इसका नामकरण इसके सोर्स ऑफ ओरिजिन से है. जैसे कि विंड के डायरेक्शन का नामकरण वहां के सोर्स ऑफ ओरिजिन से होता है, उसी तरीके से लैंड एंड सी ब्रिजेस का नामकरण भी, द नेमिंग ऑफ दीज विंड्स आर बिकॉज ऑफ द प्लेस फ्रॉम वेयर इट इज ओरिजिनेटेड. If it is originated from the land during the night time, it is called as land breezes. In the daytime, because it is originated from the surface of the sea towards the land areas, that's why it is called as sea breezes. And because in the daytime it is coming from the sea, then it must have the moisture, and that will balance the temperature of the day, and the diurnal rate of change of temperature will be very low. In the night time, because it is coming from the land, from the colder areas, from the land towards the warmer areas towards the sea, it also balances the temperature. So in the oceanic influences or in the coastal areas, the temperature extreme is not recorded. There is no extreme cold season and there is no extreme hot season. That's why we see that during the winter season, tourists move towards the South India from the North India, because there is the less extreme or there is the balanced temperature near to the coast. ये बात सबको समझ में आ रही है?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us see about the another type of wind pattern, that is the called as mountain and valley breezes. Mountain and valley breezes. This is the valley part and this is the mountainous part. This is the valley part and this is the hilly part. Or the mountainous part. Mountain and valley breezes are another type of periodic local winds. This mountain and valley breezes have also the differential heating and cooling in terms of the vertical movement of air or in terms of the wind movement. The same pattern or the contrast that is recorded at the land and sea breezes is also experienced at the mountain and hill part of the, or the mountain and valley part of the mountainous region or the hilly areas. In the day, when there is the sun over the sky in the day, the upper part of the mountains, that is the hilly part of the mountains, heated quickly because it is direct exposure to the sun. It is having the direct exposure to the sun. That's why it heated quickly at the mountainous upper elevated part of the mountains. That's why it is comparatively warmer at the hilly part of the region. And there is the low pressure system because of the high temperature. There is the low pressure at the elevated part of the hills or the mountains. And it is still in the shadow of the sun, or there is the less exposure of the valley part towards the sun. That's why at valley part, it is still cooler and having the high pressure during the daytime, it is still cooler. So there is the high pressure at the valley part of the mountains, and wind start moving in a vertical directions towards the low pressure belt areas. Or because of the vertical and expansions of the air, it cools when it moves upon the higher elevation. हवाएं जो वैली पार्ट की है दिन के वक्त में वो कूलर है, ठंडी है, इसलिए यहाँ पे हवाओं की डेंसिटी ज्यादा है, और चूंकि हवाओं की डेंसिटी ज्यादा है इसलिए वहां पे प्रेशर भी हाई होगा, और दिन के वक्त में हवाएं वैली से अपर पार्ट में, एलिवेटेड पार्ट में बहती हैं, जिसको हम वैली ब्रीजेस कहते हैं, जिसको हम क्या कहते हैं, वैली ब्रीजेस। उसी तरीके से इन द नाइट रात के वक्त में in night when the sun is not there at the sky, the upper elevated part of the mountains quickly cooled and there is the high pressure. बहुत जल्दी ये ठंडा हो गया ऊपर का जो पार्ट है, और ये अभी तक वार्मर है, और यहाँ पे लो प्रेशर सिस्टम, वैली पार्ट में there is a low pressure system, and at the higher part or the elevated part there is a high pressure systems in the mountainous region. That's why the wind start moving from upper part towards the lower valley part region, and that is called as valley breezes, that is called as mountain breezes. So there is the daily diurnal pattern of the mountain and valley breezes. Wind moves in a vertical directions from the valley towards the mountainous hilly part in the day, and it reverses the directions from the upper elevated part towards the valley region in the night. And this diurnal pattern is known as mountain and valley breezes, and that is recorded in the form of katabatic wind also. इसको हम क्या कहते हैं, katabatic wind भी कहते हैं। अगर ज्यादातर अगर हम टेक्निकल टर्म में देखें, that is the katabatic wind. These mountain and valley breezes characterized with the thermal inversion also. अगर रात के वक्त में अगर बहुत ही ऊपर से हवाएं, ठंडी हवाएं अगर नीचे की ओर आती हैं और कंप्रेशन से और ज्यादा थोड़ा सा गर्म हो जाती हैं नीचे, और दिन के वक्त में आपकी ठंडी हवाएं जो है नीचे से अगर ऊपर की ओर जाती हैं जाड़े के सीजन में, अगर हम ये देखते हैं कि जो वैली पार्ट है दैट इज अवॉइडेड फॉर दैट हॉर्टिकल्चर एंड अदर्स, ऊपर का पार्ट है वो जो है आपका थोड़ा सा जो है वो रहता है, क्योंकि वैली का पार्ट जो है नीचे बहुत ज्यादा एक्सेसिवली कूल होने की वजह से गर्म हवा ऊपर रहती है और ठंडी हवा नीचे रहती है, और एक थर्मल इन्वर्जन की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स भी हमें इसमें देखने को मिलता है। दैट्स व्हाई these mountain and valley breezes are very important in the areas where the hill and the valley parts are recorded. तो ये समझ में आ रहा है चीजें? ओके, अगर हम कुछ और लोकल विंड्स के बारे में अगर देखें, apart from the monsoon we will discuss in very detail. That's why I deliberately left here. I will discuss another day or tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Local winds, some local winds that is non-periodic in nature also. मैंने कुछ बताया कि कुछ लोकल विंड्स हैं जो पीरियाडिक नेचर के हैं, जैसे आपके दिन और रात में वेरिएशंस है। उसी तरीके से कुछ ऐसे लोकल विंड्स हैं, देयर आर फ्यू लोकल विंड्स दैट आर नॉट in a cyclic pattern or not in periodic pattern, but they occurred in a fixed time span in the certain part of the year. एक particular month में एक particular areas को cover करते हैं ऐसे periodic, ऐसे local winds, whether it may be hot or dry, cool. So there are few non-periodic local winds. अगर मैं कुछ example दूं, Loo is one of the important local winds of the North Indian plain. During the summer season, or April, May, June, these are the important months of the flow of the very hot and very dry wind because of the local pressure variations and excessive heating of the northern plains of India, Indo-Gangetic plain from Punjab towards the Bihar and towards the eastern region. These very hot and dry winds that is created because of the local pressure variations or the excessive heating of the North Indian plains caused a very dangerous effect in the health as well as in the life and activities of the individuals. The summer season of the North Indian plain that is very harsh and that is characterized with the Lu or the local winds Lu, that is a very hot and dry wind. It affects to the summer schools because of the summer vacation is because of the Lu and this very warm temperature, as well as it causes to the other health problems and the excessive heating months of excessive hot months of the North Indian plain. It caused to the various economic, social, and cultural effect or impact over the individuals. The another winds that is local, and their areas are maybe smaller or the large. These periodic winds, these are not periodic winds, but these winds that is having the local importance, they may have the smaller areas. जैसे कुछ winds हैं जो सिर्फ smaller region में है, जैसे फोन है या चिनूक है, but there may be areas, there may be winds that may have the larger expansion of their areas. जैसे northern wind, NORTHER, northern. Northern winds that is originated at the Canada, in the Arctic part of Canada. It is very cold wind, very dry wind, cold and dry. Sometimes it covers the areas near to the Arizona or near to the southern part of the United States of America also. इतना ज्यादा expansion भी इस wind का हो सकता है. These winds may be dry or may be hot or may be cool. कुछ wind है जो बहुत गर्म होती है, जैसे local winds में अगर देखें तो Lu is very colder wind and Chinook is also Chinook is dry hot wind. Santa Ana is the cold wind. Blizzard is the cold wind. Nor'wester is the cold wind. So few winds may be hot or few winds may be dry. Competition में ये सवाल पूछता है, which among these are the hotter wind or the hot local wind? Which among these are the cold local winds? कभी कभी मैचिंग के लिए दे देता है कि यह किस एरिया में बहता है अलग अलग लोकल विंड. नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम लोग चिनूक कल पढ़ेंगे, चिनूक, फोन और मिस्ट्राल, ये सारे लोकल विंड्स पढ़ेंगे. मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली चिनूक. चिनूक का नाम आपने सुना है कभी? अभी हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे चिनूक के बारे में. जी ओके. चिनूक वर्ड बड़ा म्यूजिकल लग रहा है, साउंड. चिनूक, phone, blizzard. Chinook is a very important hot wind, comparatively hotter wind that flows in the North America, most importantly in Canada and United States of America. These winds are recorded in the leeward side of the Rocky Mountain. Rocky Mountains का नाम सुना आप लोगों ने? Okay. Rocky Mountains is the one of the important alpine or the fold mountains. जैसे एंडीज है, जैसे हिमालय है, उसी तरीके का एक अल्पाइन माउंटेन्स के कैटेगरी में और फोल्ड माउंटेन्स के कैटेगरी में रॉकी माउंटेन्स भी लेते हैं. It is located in the northern from the Alaska towards the towards the Mexico, or you can say that the whole North America is in the western part of North America is characterized with the long stretch of the Rocky Mountains from the Alaska towards the South Arizona, or the near to the coast of the California, or the Mexico. The upper part of the Rocky Mountains, most importantly the Canada and United States of America, in the leeward slope, of the Rocky Mountains, these winds are recorded in the form of hot and dry wind. Hot and dry wind. Basically, Chinook is the westerly wind that flows over the Pacific Oceans, and when it experiences to the mountain barriers of the Rocky Mountains, it moves in a upward directions following the barriers of the Rocky Mountains, and when it crosses to the leeward slope of the Rocky Mountains, it becomes dry and hotter because of the compressional forces, because of the dry adiabatic heat, or the adiabatic change of the heating, or the adiabatic rate of the heating. 10 डिग्री सेल्सियस पर 1000 मीटर के रेट से ये गर्म होना शुरू हो जाता है. When it is being compressed in the leeward side of the Rocky Mountains, you can see in that example the Pacific Ocean से Chinook wind के बारे में अगर देखें हम, a type of wind that is originated in the Pacific Oceans. It is the westerlies that is over the Pacific Oceans, and when this westerlies wind comes into the contact of Rocky Mountains, it moves in upward directions following the mountain barriers in the windward slope of the Rocky Mountains. It moves in upward directions. This wind, when it crosses to the leeward side of the mountain, or the leeward slope of the mountain, it moves in the eastward side of the slope of the mountain. It is being compressed, or it is being heated because of the adiabatic rate of heating, because of the compression and the contraction of the volume of this wind. Its temperature increases, and sometimes it increases in compared to the other areas of the leeward slope of the Rocky Mountains. It has the more temperature in compared to the 4 degrees Celsius temperature is higher, and it causes for the, it provides the temperature or the heating of the areas of the leeward slope of the Rocky Mountains. And it is the hotter wind in compared to the other winds or the other areas, and it flows in the winter season, and that's why it is called a snow eater. जब ये leeward slope की ओर जाता है तो बर्फ जो है इसकी वजह से पिघलना शुरू हो जाती है, और लोगों को एग्रीकल्चर में या लोगों को थोड़ी सी ठंडी में राहत मिलती है, because it creates, it increase the temperature of the surrounding areas, and that's why it is called a snow eater. And it is a very beneficial and benevolent to the areas of the leeward slope of the Rocky Mountains in United States of America, as well as in the Canada और USA में इस विंड की बड़ी स्वागत होती है. विंटर सीजन में जब ये लीवर्ड स्लोप की ओर जाता है तो कंप्रेशन और कंट्रैक्शन के वजह से, ड्राई एडियाबेटिक रेट ऑफ हीटिंग की वजह से इसकी तापमान बढ़ जाती है, और इसके तापमान बढ़ने से आसपास के जो एरिया है उसका भी तापमान बढ़ जाता है, और यही कारण है कि लीवर्ड स्लोप में इसका नाम स्नो ईटर के तौर पे देखा जाता है. एंड दैट इज नोन एज द विंड are the beneficial wind, और ये एक फायदेमंद विंड है आपके लोकल ड्राई विंड और द लोकल वार्म विंड के कैटेगरी में चिनूक विंड को रखते हैं। ये बात सबको समझ में आ रही है? तो चिनूक, अगर कोई पूछे चिनूक क्या है तो बता देंगे आप लोग? ओके। इसी तरीके से फोन और मिस्ट्राल भी है, वो भी इसी तरीके से फॉर्म होता है, लेकिन उसका एरिया कहाँ है? स्विट्जरलैंड में है और आल्प्स माउंटेन में है। जॉर्जिया, स्विट्जरलैंड, नियर टू द कोस्ट ऑफ मेडिटेरेनियन सी, स्पेन, इटली, इस एरियाज में आपके फ्लोन और आपके मिस्ट्राल विंड जो है देखने में आते हैं। लेकिन आल्प्स माउंटेन के ईस्टवर्ड स्लोप में ये भी उसी तरीके से टेम्परेचर आपके जो है इंक्रीज करते हैं, and that's why Fohn and Mistral is just like the Chinook, but the mountains is Alps mountain and the area is the Europe in compared to the US and Canada of the Chinook wind movement. Okay, we will discuss in the next class the other local winds that is having the local importance, but they may be beneficial or very dangerous also. कुछ local winds बहुत dangerous होते हैं, जैसे लू है, बहुत डेंजरस है, जैसे आपका सिरोक्को है, वो भी बहुत ही डेंजरस विंड है। हरमतान ठीक है, फायदेमंद है। ओके, थैंक यू सो मच, ऑल द बेस्ट।